Hey everyone, and welcome to the weekly podcast with Alexander and Ava.
All right. Welcome back, everybody, to the deep dive. You ready to unearth some hidden travel gems today?
Absolutely. Always ready for an adventure.
Awesome. So, looks like our listener is pretty adventurous, too.
Yeah.
Based on what they sent us. Wants to get off the beaten path, you know?
Yeah, definitely. I'm seeing some really interesting stuff here.
Yeah, we're talking like hiking Spain's Camino de Santiago, like after retirement.
Wow.
Or sailing solo across the Atlantic.
Ambitious.
Backpacking. Solo female traveler in Iran.
You don't see that every day.
Even like totally disconnecting on a remote island in Laos.
Sounds like paradise.
Right. So let's dive into all this and see what sparks our listeners' wanderlust.
I am so ready. Let's do it.
Okay, so first up, these solo travel stories we were just talking about, like the retiree taking on the Camino de Santiago.
Yeah, that one really stood out to me too.
I mean, imagine that, right? You've worked your whole life and then you decide to celebrate retirement by like pushing yourself to the limit on this ancient pilgrimage route.
It's really inspiring. Shows you that age is really just a number when it comes to adventure, right?
Totally. And I mean, talk about pushing limits.
Yeah.
That solo Atlantic crossing.
Oh yeah, that's intense.
Battling storms, navigating by the stars, being completely self-sufficient.
Yeah, you have to be so resilient to even attempt something like that.
For sure. I think it says a lot about the kind of mental strength solo travel can build.
Definitely. When you're out there on your own, you're kind of stripped bare. You have to rely on your instincts, your problem-solving skills. It's almost like a crash course in self-reliance.
And I bet you learn a lot about yourself along the way, too.
Oh, absolutely. You're facing challenges head-on and discovering hidden strengths you didn't even know you had. I think solo travel is like this amazing journey of self-discovery, both outward and inward.
I love that.
Yeah.
So it's not all about, conquering nature and pushing your limits, though. We've also got stories about connecting with people, with local cultures.
Right, that's such a huge part of it.
Like that woman who backpacked solo through Iran.
Yeah.
I mean, that takes some serious guts.
Yeah, and she talks about experiencing incredible hospitality and completely changing her perspective on the country, really breaking down those preconceived notions we often have.
Totally. And I think as a solo traveler, you're just more approachable, more likely to strike up conversations with locals.
Yeah, definitely. There's no buffer. You're not relying on a travel buddy. It just naturally forces you to engage with the people and the culture around you.
Okay, so let's switch gears a bit and talk about these hidden destinations. Like, I was so intrigued by Georgia.
Oh, Georgia's amazing.
I know, right? It's got everything. History, vibrant culture, those incredible Svaneti towers.
Those towers are just unreal, perched up in the mountains like that. I've seen pictures, but I bet they're even more breathtaking in person.
I bet. And what I find really fascinating is that it's a relatively small country, but so diverse.
Absolutely. You've got the bustling art scene in Tbilisi, the capital, and then just a short distance away, you have these ancient wine caves. Like, they've been making wine there for centuries using these traditional methods.
Centuries. That's incredible. Okay, and then we have those lost villages in Colombia's Sierra Nevada.
Oh, yeah, those sound incredible.
Like, totally off the grid.
Yeah.
Indigenous communities living in these remote villages, keeping their traditions alive. I mean, could you imagine being welcomed into that kind of world?
It's like stepping back in time. But it also brings up something really important about these hidden gems, right?
What's that?
Well, we have to be mindful of responsible travel. These communities are often vulnerable, and tourism can be a double-edged sword.
That's true.
It's all about finding that balance, sharing these incredible places with the world while also protecting them, making sure that tourism benefits the local communities and doesn't exploit them or overwhelm them.
I mean, just think about how social media can impact a place.
It's crazy, right?
One beautiful photo on Instagram, and suddenly you have hordes of tourists descending on a once peaceful spot.
Yeah, and then you have problems with overcrowding, environmental damage, even cultural clashes.
Definitely. It's a reminder that we as travelers have a responsibility to tread lightly, be respectful of local cultures and customs, and support sustainable practices.
Absolutely. Leave a place better than you found it, right?
Exactly. Okay, so moving on to cultural immersion. The listener sent us some examples that are like next level.
Oh yeah, like what?
Like living with Mongolian nomads. Imagine learning about their way of life, participating in their daily routines, even trying your hand at throat singing.
Wow, that's a whole other world.
Right. And it's a great example of how travel can push you outside your comfort zone and help you connect with a culture on such a deep level.
Definitely. And it's not always about these big exotic adventures either. The listener also included some more contemplative experiences.
Yeah, that's true.
Like participating in a traditional Japanese tea ceremony in Kyoto. It's all about mindfulness, quiet contemplation, appreciating the simple beauty of the moment.
Right, and led by a tea master who's dedicated their life to this art form. It's a completely different pace from, like, the hustle and bustle of everyday life.
Exactly. And then on the other end of the spectrum, there's the Voodoo Festival in Benin.
Oh yeah, that one's wild.
It's like this explosion of color and music and spirituality, all these ancient rituals, ancestral dances, drumming, vibrant costumes, masks. Talk about a sensory overload.
I know. It's a reminder that travel is about embracing the unknown, confronting your preconceptions, and being open to new experiences, even if they seem a little strange or scary at first.
Totally. It's about challenging yourself, and I think when you do that, you often discover hidden depths within yourself that you didn't even know existed.
That's a great point. So, what's the biggest takeaway for you from all this?
I think it's that some of the most rewarding travel experiences are the ones you don't find in the guidebooks. It's about venturing off the beaten path, embracing the unexpected, allowing yourself to be transformed by the journey, whether it's a physical challenge, a cultural immersion, or a moment of quiet contemplation.
Beautifully said. And I want to add one more thing. The listener mentioned this idea that really stuck with me, and it kind of relates to everything we've been talking about.
What's that?
What if, instead of hopping from one tourist spot to the next, you picked a single Italian town
Okay.
and spent like 6 months there, really immersing yourself in the local life?
Oh, wow. That's an interesting thought.
Right. No itinerary, no must-see lists, just living like a local, getting to know the people, the rhythms of daily life, the culture on a deeper level.
It's like slow travel taken to the extreme.
It is. And I think it's kind of a challenge to our fast-paced, always-on culture. Like, what if we just slowed down,
Yeah.
really savored the experience?
Yeah. And who knows what amazing hidden gems you might uncover when you're not rushing from one place to the next.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so that is all the time we have for today's deep dive. But the adventure doesn't end here. Be sure to check out all the amazing source material our listeners sent in. There's so much inspiration there.
It's a treasure trove.
It really is.
Yeah.
Until next time, happy travels, everyone.